Hello. Today I want to talk about how to check the tag of an object that's in a socket. So throughout this video I'm going to assume that you are familiar with the sockets lesson from Unity's Create with Code. And what we have right here is let me zoom in a little bit. I have this tennis ball, and the tennis ball has a socket on it, and these two white ping pong balls are grab interactables that will be able to land on top of this tennis ball and attach to the socket. So we'll see it falls down, and right now this one has attached to the socket. And if I click on each of these, you'll notice that this one has the tag red, while this one has the tag green. Now the goal of that being that I have this lamp next to it with a light bulb in it, and I can turn this on and off. And I want to make it so that the light will change colors dependent on which of these two ping pong balls is attached. So I am going to go ahead and create a new C# script, and I will call this socket control. And I'm going to go ahead and attach it to the socket on the tennis ball. And then let's go ahead and open up Visual Studio. Okay, so the first thing that I want to do is tell it that I'm using the XR interaction toolkit. So I'm going to say right up here, using unityengine.xr.interaction.toolkit. Then from here, I can tell my code that I am going to have a variable for the socket. So I'm going to have a public XR socket interactor called socket. While we're at it, let's say that I also want the light. I have a public light called light. In the start, I can tell it to get the component for the socket. So socket is equal to get component XR socket interactor, parentheses on that because it's a method. And at this point, I'm going to Control S to save. That way I can define the light over here. So here is my tennis ball socket, and it says it's looking for the light. So I'm going to grab the light bulb, move it in right there. So now I have the light. Okay, back to my script. In this case, I'm not going to use update, so I'm going to delete that. And here I'm going to make a new method, public void socket check. What this method is going to do is I want this method to run whenever something enters into the socket. So I am going to check to see what object has just entered into the socket by saying that I have a new game object called item. That'll be the item that is in the socket right now, is equal to socket.selectTarget. And selectTarget is the interactable that is currently attached to the socket. Now that is a different object type, that is a different data type, than a game object, but it does contain a game object, so I'm going to say .gameObject because that's a little bit more familiar to us and we know how that works. Now, once I have that, I can start doing something with it. So, let's go ahead and check the tag, item.tag. Let's do the compare tag. If item compare tag is red, then light.color is equal to color.red. else if item.compareTag is green, then light.color is equal to color.green. So what this should do is check to see what the tag is on the ping pong ball, and then change the light bulb color to the appropriate color. Now, after we've done that checking, we should say light.enabled is true. So we'll turn the light on after we've checked to see what color it should be. Now, the default color of the light is white, so that means if there's an error there, we should see a white light. So Control S to save. Let's go back in here. Now, that was a method, and it wasn't in the start or the update, which means I need something to trigger it in here, and that trigger is going to come from the socket. So right here I've got my tennis ball socket, and I'm going to go down to the interactor events. And the one that I'm looking for is right here. It's the select entered. That's when a grab interactable goes into the socket. I can say I want something to happen. So the script that I wrote is on the tennis ball socket, so I'm going to drag that in right there. And then which function am I going to use inside my socket control script? I want to do the socket check method. Okay, so now everything seems to be in place. Let's go ahead and give it a check. If I push play, this one falls down. And I see that the light turned on and is turning red because the ping pong ball with the red tag has landed in the socket. Now let's go ahead and just swap these out. That way the green ball lands on top. And there we go.